Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. She doesn't cheat because of you. She cheats because of her habits, her impulses, her past, her patterns. But you'll still blame yourself when it happens. You'll replay every moment, searching for the one thing you did wrong. Stop. You can't fix what you didn't break. What you can do is see it early, before it turns into another heartbreak story. Today, I'll show you 5 early signs your woman is going to cheat on you. The clues are already there. In her words, in her timing, in her silence. You just need to learn how to read them. This video isn't just about spotting betrayal. It's about reclaiming awareness before it costs you peace. So take a second, subscribe, and leave a comment saying, "I'm done ignoring red flags." That's your first step. Because every man who learns to see the signs early gains control over what used to break him. And what I'll show you next isn't theory. It's the beginning of that control. Number 1. She's cheated before. When you meet a woman who admits she's been unfaithful in the past, most men make the same mistake. They think they'll be the exception. You tell yourself she was young, or that her ex didn't treat her right, or that you're different. You'll give her a kind of love she's never experienced before. But what you're really doing is ignoring a pattern. Because infidelity isn't just an act, it's a behavior loop, one that starts in the brain long before it reaches the body. When someone crosses the line once, the guilt is usually heavy. The heart races, the mind panics, and the body shakes from the weight of doing something they swore they never would. But here's what most people don't understand. If they survive that guilt without true self-awareness, the brain remembers one thing, that they got away with it. And once that happens, it becomes easier the next time. Think of it like addiction. The same way an addict chases a high, a cheater chases the thrill of forbidden validation. The moment she meets someone new who triggers that spark, that subtle flirtation, that glance that lasts a second too long, her brain releases dopamine, the same chemical responsible for pleasure and anticipation. That rush becomes intoxicating. It's not about the person she's flirting with. It's about the chemical reaction inside her that says, "You still got it." Now, does that mean every woman who's cheated before will do it again? Not necessarily. But here's the reality. Most people don't heal behaviors they never confront. If she's never questioned why she cheated, if she's never done the uncomfortable work of self-accountability, then the act itself isn't over. It's just dormant. You might think she's changed because she swore she'd never repeat her mistakes. You might believe that love can rewrite her instincts. But love doesn't reprogram the brain. It only delays what hasn't been repaired. A woman who's never faced her own patterns is like a recovering addict who keeps the substance in her pocket, just in case life gets too hard. She tells herself she's stronger now, but deep down, she knows that rush is still there, waiting for the right trigger. This is why emotional discipline matters more than romantic promises. Infidelity rarely starts from a lack of affection. It starts from a lack of control, a lack of mastery over one's impulses. When emotions run the show, logic gets silenced. When desire takes the wheel, loyalty becomes optional. And here's the cruel part. She won't even see it coming. To her, it'll feel like connection, like chemistry. But to you, it'll feel like betrayal. So if she once crossed that line and never truly faced the consequences, don't assume your love will save her. You might just be her next lesson. Or worse, her next escape. Remember this, people don't change for someone. They change when they can no longer stand who they are. Until then, every boundary is negotiable, and every promise is temporary. If she's ever cheated on someone to be with you, don't celebrate it as proof that she chose you. See it for what it is. Evidence that she's capable of doing the same thing again, just with a different name in her phone. Number 2, Your relationship started as an affair. You might believe your connection was special, that it wasn't cheating, it was destiny. You tell yourself the timing was complicated, that her old relationship was already dying, that what you two share is real, deep, and meant to be. But here's the uncomfortable truth. How something begins often tells you how it ends. When a woman steps out of one relationship straight into another, it's not just about attraction. It's about escape. She wasn't pulled toward you by pure love. She was pushed out of her old reality by emotional dissatisfaction. And instead of facing that discomfort, she used you as her bridge to cross the gap between unhappy and desired. That bridge is fragile because it's not built on honesty. It's built on avoidance. And avoidance doesn't disappear once she's with you. It simply waits for another reason to show up. In the early days, everything feels electric. The secrecy, the adrenaline, the illusion that you've both found something no one else understands. You mistake that adrenaline for passion. You tell yourself, she risked everything for me. That must mean something. But it doesn't. It only means she's capable of risking everything when emotions take control. Most people think cheating is about lust. But it's often about identity. When she cheated on him with you, it wasn't just about you. It was about who she got to be in your presence. Free, wanted, admired, alive. You became the stage for her emotional rebirth. But what happens when the excitement fades and normal life returns? When alive starts to feel like routine? That same mind that once justified betrayal to be with you will justify betrayal to escape you. Because in her story, betrayal isn't the villain, boredom is. When things get calm, when comfort replaces chaos, she begins to crave that familiar tension again. The thrill of being desired by someone new. The validation that still makes her feel powerful. And when that craving grows, it doesn't announce itself. It hides behind phrases like, I just need space, or I feel disconnected. But deep down, it's the same old pattern, the hunt for the next emotional high. Let's be clear. Not every woman who leaves a relationship for someone else will cheat again. Some wake up. Some face their own patterns and take accountability. But that's rare, because most people don't break cycles. They repeat them until the pain becomes unbearable. So before you romanticize the way she chose you, ask yourself, did she ever take time to be alone? Did she ever stop and confront why she had to betray someone to feel alive again? If the answer is no, then you didn't save her. You simply inherited her unresolved restlessness. You think she chose you because you're better. But the truth is, she just needed a new audience for the same performance. And when the script stops thrilling her, she'll look for another stage. You'll know it's happening when she starts rewriting the narrative. When she begins to paint you as the one who doesn't get her anymore. That's how she justifies the next act. She can't play the victim unless you become the villain. So don't ignore the origin story of your relationship. Because history doesn't repeat by accident. It repeats by design. And if you were once her secret, she might already be hiding one now. Number 3, she lacks discipline. It's easy to mistake spontaneity for passion. A woman who lives in the moment can be intoxicating. She laughs loud. She moves fast. She says she hates routines. At first it feels refreshing. You admire her energy, her unpredictability. She's not like the others. She feels alive. But what looks like freedom at first can turn into chaos over time. Because when someone can't control their impulses, they rarely control their loyalty either. Discipline isn't just about structure. It's about restraint. The ability to say no when everything inside you wants to say yes. A disciplined woman understands cause and effect. She knows that short-term pleasure can destroy long-term peace. But when discipline is missing, impulse takes the wheel, and every emotion becomes a command. When she's angry, she lashes out. When she's lonely, she reaches out. When she's tempted, she acts first and explains later, and it always starts small. She cancels plans last minute because she wasn't feeling it. She spends impulsively, overshares or flirts just to feel seen. Each little crack might seem harmless on its own, but together they reveal a deeper truth. She has no internal brakes. And someone without brakes doesn't just crash her own life. She crashes into yours. You see, infidelity doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in the mind, the moment someone allows emotion to override logic. When a woman has never trained herself to manage boredom, frustration, or emptiness, she seeks something, anything, to fill the void. That something often comes in the form of attention. Attention becomes validation. Validation becomes temptation, and temptation becomes justification. Most men think cheating happens because of unmet needs. But often, it's just poor impulse control, dressed up as emotional depth. She tells herself she's following her heart, but what she's really following is the path of least resistance. The temporary high that numbs her discomfort. A woman who lacks discipline in her habits will eventually lack it in her morals. Because the same mindset that says, "I'll start tomorrow," about her goals, is the one that says, "It's not that serious about crossing lines." Her emotions become her authority. Her whims become her compass. And when that's the case, her promises hold no weight. Not because she's evil, but because she's inconsistent. You might hear her say, "I just go with the flow." Sounds liberating, doesn't it? But the flow she follows isn't destiny, it's dopamine. And dopamine doesn't care about loyalty. It only cares about the next hit of excitement. So here's the truth. Love without discipline is chaos in disguise. Because passion fades, attraction stabilizes, and then the real test begins. The test of commitment when emotions are quiet. That's when discipline is the only thing that keeps a relationship standing. When you see a woman who avoids structure, who lives from one emotional spike to another, understand that you're not dealing with a free spirit. You're dealing with someone addicted to stimulation. And when life with you becomes steady, when she no longer feels that spark, her instincts will tell her to find it elsewhere. So before you fall for her spontaneity, watch her consistency. Does she follow through on her word? Does she finish what she starts? If not, then don't be surprised when her loyalty lasts only as long as her excitement. Because no one can commit to another person if they've never learned how to commit to themselves. Number 4, her answers reveal her moral compass. You don't need to invade her privacy to know who she really is. You just need to listen. Not to what she says, but how she justifies what she believes. Because values are rarely hidden. They leak out through opinions, reactions, and the way someone explains away wrong behavior. Ask her 3 simple questions. And don't focus on the words, focus on the tone. First, if your friend's partner cheated, should they break up? If she immediately says yes, that's clarity. She knows betrayal has consequences. But if she hesitates, if she starts with, "Well, it depends," what she's doing isn't empathy, it's moral negotiation. She's already preparing the defense she'd use if she were in the same position. Second, would you be mad if someone flirted with me? Now, pay attention. This isn't about jealousy, it's about boundaries. If she brushes it off and says, "It's fine, flirting is harmless," that's not confidence, that's projection. Because people who think flirting doesn't matter usually mean it doesn't matter when they're the ones doing it. When loyalty feels flexible, so does commitment. Third, do you think cheating is normal? This one cuts deep. If she says, "Everyone does it," she's not describing the world. She's revealing the world she belongs to. When someone generalizes moral failure, it's because they need permission to keep living in it. They blur the lines so they don't have to see their own reflection. You see, people defend what they secretly identify with. When someone constantly rationalizes why others cheat, what they're really saying is, I understand because I've been there, or I could be. It's not that she's bad, it's that she's human, but unhealed. She's found a way to soothe her guilt by turning betrayal into a cultural norm. And once that happens, her conscience stops being a guardrail. It becomes a negotiator. Many men overlook this because the conversation feels innocent. You tell yourself, we're just talking. But in reality, she's showing you the script she'll use later if she ever crosses the line. She's rehearsing her excuses in advance. This is why moral conversations are more revealing than love confessions. Anyone can say, I'd never do that. But watch how she talks about others. If she sympathizes with the one who caused the pain instead of the one who endured it, she's telling you where her empathy really lives. You think it's just a conversation. But her answer is a mirror. She just told you who she is. The calm, detached tone she uses when discussing betrayal might be the same tone she'll use one day when explaining her own. So don't argue her logic. Don't try to convince her of your moral standards. People don't rise to your level of integrity. They sink to their level of comfort. And if her comfort zone includes moral gray areas, you'll never feel safe in that relationship. Because what's negotiable to her will always feel non-negotiable to you. Attraction can't fix ethics. Charm can't rewrite conscience. And love, no matter how deep, can't save someone who keeps justifying what breaks others. Listen carefully to how she speaks about betrayal, loyalty, or mistakes. Her answers will tell you everything you need to know. Not about her past, but about your future with her. Number 5. Her parents normalized cheating. No one escapes their upbringing. We either repeat it or we spend our lives fighting against it. When a woman grows up in a home where betrayal was part of the background noise, it doesn't just fade away when she becomes an adult. It becomes her blueprint for what love feels like. Unstable, unpredictable, and full of emotional whiplash. Maybe she saw her mother look the other way. Maybe she watched her father leave for work trips that everyone silently understood weren't about work. Or maybe she saw the pain of infidelity up close, the crying, the tension, the apologies that never healed anything. Those moments don't just sit in the past. They imprint. They teach her that love equals chaos, that being desired matters more than being respected, and that betrayal is just part of the game. For some women, that legacy becomes a vow. I'll never be like them. They build walls. They swear off lies. They hold loyalty like a religion. But for others, the pattern becomes permission. They repeat what they saw, not because they want to, but because it feels familiar. The human mind doesn't seek happiness. It seeks what it recognizes. And if chaos is what she grew up in, chaos is what she'll recreate when peace starts to feel too quiet. You might think you can change that. You'll tell yourself your love can rewrite her history. That if you treat her right, she'll finally learn what healthy feels like. But that's not how psychology works. Because unresolved pain doesn't vanish in the presence of love. It just hides until it feels safe enough to resurface. And when it does, it doesn't come out gently. It comes out through mistrust, emotional sabotage, and self-fulfilling prophecies. Children who watched infidelity up close often live with two invisible fears, the fear of being betrayed and the fear of becoming the betrayer. They swing between both without realizing it. One day she clings too tightly, terrified you'll hurt her. The next day she pulls away, terrified she'll hurt you first. That's not cruelty. It's trauma reenacting itself. It's her subconscious trying to take control of a story that once made her powerless. Here's the truth. Children don't become who you tell them to be. They become what they see. And if what she saw was deception, distance, and distrust, that's what her nervous system now calls love. It's not moral failure, it's conditioning. But conditioning can destroy even the most genuine relationship if it's never confronted. You, as a man, have to decide what role you're willing to play. Do you want to be her partner or her therapist? Because if she hasn't done the work to break her inherited cycles, your relationship will slowly become the arena where her unresolved childhood plays out again. You'll think you're fighting for her love. But really, you'll be fighting her memories. You want to heal her. And I get it. But if she hasn't healed herself, she'll just pass the pain forward. She'll make you carry what her parents left behind. And that burden, no matter how noble your intentions, will eventually crush the connection between you. You can't fix the past she hasn't faced. You can only protect the peace you've built by recognizing when someone's still living inside their old story. Sometimes love means staying, but sometimes love means stepping away before her wounds become yours. These 5 signs aren't meant to make you paranoid. They're meant to make you aware. Because awareness is the first layer of protection, not against her, but against your own blindness. Every relationship begins with hope. You meet someone, you believe, you trust. You want to see the best in her because that's what love feels like. Surrender. But love without awareness is like driving blindfolded. You may not crash immediately, but it's only a matter of time before reality reminds you where you are. This isn't about distrust. It's about discernment. It's not about labeling women as threats. It's about understanding the patterns that shape behavior. Because when you can read the signs early, you stop negotiating your peace for temporary pleasure. You stop ignoring what your instincts are trying to tell you. Most men fall apart, not because women deceive them, but because they deceive themselves. They see the red flags, but they call them challenges. They hear the excuses, but they call them explanations. And in doing so, they hand over their power, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but confusion and resentment. You don't have to live that way. You can choose to see clearly before you fall deeply. You can observe patterns instead of explaining them away. You can demand honesty, not as a favor, but as a standard. Because the goal isn't to avoid heartbreak. It's to build the kind of awareness that keeps you unbreakable. Don't try to save her from herself. Save yourself from losing who you are. Because once you forget your boundaries, you're not in love. You're in danger. If what you've heard today stirred something inside you, a quiet recognition, a truth you've been avoiding, then let that be your wake-up call. And if you're ready to learn how to protect your mind before your heart gets broken again, hit subscribe. Because I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make you unbreakable.